that is so simple, but so profound. Like God really he loves us so much. He wants us to be his priority and he wants to be our priority. And then, of course, I love what Jesus said. He said that I am the vine. And of course, he's using this analogy of the vineyard. And he said, you are the branch. And he makes it so clear. He says, if you, that's us, abide in me, meaning connect with me, live within me, then he says, I will abide in you. So it's a promise. It's saying, but what he's saying is you have to come to me. Like I'm here, but you have to come seek me, and then I'll connect with you. And then I love this. He says, and you will bear much fruit. Like it's so clear. It's such a promise. Hard to understand, but the reality is most believers don't take advantage of that.
Welcome to the Age of Lions podcast, a platform and community dedicated to bringing purpose, strategy, and calling to kingdom-minded people who are 50 plus and excited about their next chapter. Here's your host, Mark Clement.
Hey everybody, welcome to episode 40. I cannot believe we're at 40 episodes of the Age of Lions podcast. I'm Mark Clement. It's so good to see you guys here. We missed you last week. We have been living a crazy couple of weeks in our house with travel and in the school year and all the activities. And I was in Austin, Texas, and I just could not get an episode together. And so I've had to kind of let that go, even though we post almost every single Monday once in a blue moon. It's just not going to happen because of life. So the fun thing is, man, the older episodes, we had tons and tons of traffic last week and people listening and watching to older episodes. And I love that. And if you're new and haven't had a chance to go back and do that, please go back and do it. Man, we've got 39 other episodes beside this one that are awesome with some incredible guests. And so make sure you get in there and explore. And hey, today's going to be another great one, as you heard there at the top of the episode. A great soundbite from our guest, Duane Donner. Duane is becoming a good buddy of mine. He is the founder of a company called Founders Advisors, and he'll talk about that a little bit in the episode. But they help businesses of all different sizes scale and then sell, and help especially privately owned family types of businesses find a market and find other owners who would like to buy into their business when they're ready to retire or move on. And so that's what he does for a living and has been extremely successful at it. But more importantly, he has an incredible heart for leaders and for helping leaders grow and do great things with their resources. And that's why he's on here today. And he started a nonprofit last year called Abide and Lead. And we're going to talk a lot about that today. John 15:5 is his life verse about Jesus talking about abide in me and abide in you and the branch and the vine and all the things. And so I'll let him kind of unpack that for you. But that entity that he started is run by a good friend of mine named J. Lee Ellison, and they hired our company to help brand and do website and video, and they use our software, and they've been a great client, and we love working with them. But Duane's being around them a lot as we were filming and doing other things, and hearing Duane teach about abiding has really had a profound impact on me. And so we'll get into all that in the episode, but an incredible interview with him as he talks about using every resource at your disposal as you age, and how the next 20 or 30 years of our lives, if we're in our 50s or 60s, can be the most impactful years of our lives. And so just an incredible interview with him. Super excited for you to hear that. Hey, if you are new, again, we'd love for you to subscribe, like, comment, give us a thumbs up, follow us on social media. Any engagement helps us grow and reach more people. The amount of countries that we're in right now is shocking. The amount of people who are listening every week is shocking. And I've just been blown away by how God's really just blessing this, because this message seems to really be resonating with people 50 plus who are like, man, I need to get into a community that helps me grow, that challenges me, where I see other people doing what I'm trying to do, whether that's, start something new or finish strong where you are, or find a different place to serve, or start a nonprofit or a new business, or whatever you're called to do. And talking to people like Duane and so many others, we're seeing these amazing stories of people thriving as they get older. And that is what this is all about. Speaking of, before we get into the episode, I just wanted to share a little personal note with you guys. I've shared, I think, a little bit before about I've had a little trouble with my knees with all the exercise and the hiking and the things I've been doing. And so, while it's been awesome, it is exposing a couple of issues that I've had that we're going to get fixed. So over the next few weeks, really just over the summer, it's going to be kind of a summer of knee surgery for me. I've actually got a procedure this Thursday coming up right after this episode launches. So that's the 7th. So if you think about me on Thursday, May the 7th in the morning, just give me just a shout out for that. It's torn meniscus. It's not the biggest deal in the world. It's not knee replacement or anything crazy. But I'll be kind of knocked out as far as being off my feet for a few days and then some recovery. So got to do the one knee. And then as soon as that heals, hopefully in a month or two, we'll do the second knee. And hopefully by the fall, I will be back at it. And I'm bringing this up because, A, I do covet your prayers, but also because I'm learning, just like a lot of us are, as we age and things crop up like this, man, it's very discouraging. It's easy to get down. It's easy to get frustrated, to get a little depressed. You kind of see why some people, man, they have some issues. They throw in the towel and they're like, man, I'm just going to sit on the couch. It's tempting because it kind of scares you when your mobility is affected like mine has been, or other issues that pop up, all different kinds of health problems. So, but let's band together and let's keep fighting. One of the sayings we have on here is that aging is not for sissies. I think I'm going to make a t-shirt. Like, I'm serious. Be watching for that. We're going to put some merch together because it's a battle as we get older to stay healthy, to fight through the aches and pains, to fight through the surgeries, the meds, the high cholesterol, whatever you're dealing with. And we've all got our challenges, but we are going to fight through it, and I'm going to fight through it and be better on the other side. And by this fall, man, I plan on being back in my exercise routine and back with my F3 group and all the stuff. So I appreciate your encouragement, appreciate your prayers. And this is, again, why we have community. So, hey, if you think about me and want to send me a message or reach out, do it. I'd love to hear from you. Share your story, what you're dealing with, and we're just going to fight through it together. But hey, Duane and I have a great conversation. I want to give you a couple heads up about a couple of things. So it's an interesting episode because where I was sitting to do this, I just use a window for natural light, and it usually looks great. It's a perfect window for it. This particular day, we had a major storm rolling in that I did not think about ahead of time. And so through the episode, he stays lit exactly the same, and it gets, on my side, it gets darker and darker and darker. And it might get a little fuzzy here and there, and that's just because the light, it just got really cloudy, and I couldn't stop the interview to change anything. So just kind of look past that. But it's an awesome conversation. I can't wait to dive into it. So without further ado, let's jump in with our special guest, Duane Donner. Hey, Duane Donner, how are you, man?
I'm great, man. I'm excited to be on this podcast.
Man, I'm excited to have you. I'm really honored that you found the time to do it. I know how busy you are, and I was telling our audience a little bit about you before we got started. But why don't you tell everybody just a little bit about you, about who you are, your family, your companies, and kind of what you do, just to give a little quick bio.
Yeah, well, I mean, of course, I'm Duane Donner. Been here in Birmingham for over 30 years. We moved here, Amy, my wife and I, Amy, who have been married now for 35 years. And we moved to Birmingham back in 95 when I finished my MBA at Alabama. And my wife, I thought we were going back to Louisiana. I'm from South Louisiana, love my Cajun heritage.
Right.
My wife said, nope, we're moving to Birmingham. I said, okay. So, the wife normally has a lot of say in that. So we've been here for
That's right.
over 30 years, and we love Birmingham. It's our home. We've been able to raise our 3 daughters who are now grown here in Birmingham. We have 3 daughters. 2 of them are married. They're in their mid-30s, and they both have 4 kids. So we have 8 grandkids.
Awesome.
And 1 on the way. So we have the 9th in the oven.
Okay.
And then our youngest daughter, Bella, we had an 11-year gap between our middle and our youngest daughter. Bella's 21. She's graduating from Auburn on Friday.
Oh, wow.
So the last one will be done with college, and she's actually engaged to be married in December. So we're excited about that. She's met a young man. I'm 2 for 3 on son-in-laws, and about to be 3 for 3.
Okay.
I think so. We're excited about Brown and Bella getting married. So we got a lot of great things going on. And so, yeah, that's my personal life. And then, of course, on the business side, I had the privilege to found. I'm the founder of Founders. That always sounds funny, but
Right.
I started Founders 23 years ago. We just celebrated our 23rd anniversary. Had a crawfish boil.
Oh, yeah.
here at Founders, and we need to make sure you get to that thing next year. It's a phenomenal time. We had about 500 people, boiled, a lot of crawfish, and
Yeah.
we passed a good time, had a great time, but been able to do Founders as an M&A advisory firm that serves mainly founder-based lower middle market companies across the U.S. We've even done some deals, internationally. We have a team of about right at 60 professionals, and we love serving founders and business owners as they go through what we call the transit. We're all in transition, and they're transitioning their businesses either from one generation to the next or transitioning to a new ownership through the financial markets. And our vision at Founders is, and we're well on our way. We've been working at it really hard, is to become the gold standard M&A advisory firm for lower middle market companies, which are generally companies that are kind of 25 to 250 million in enterprise value. So I always tell people to make that easy for people to understand, especially if you live in the South or really anywhere, because Chick-fil-A is so prevalent. We want to become the Chick-fil-A of our industry. And I believe, which means we want to provide the highest level of service, which I think is a parallel to Chick-fil-A, but we want to deliver that with a very customized and intentional approach. So it's not just what you do, it's how you do it. And we want to do it at the highest level.
Right.
And we call that gold standard. So we're very excited about that. We're growing our business. I got a great young team. I say young team. I have generations of team, and we're just in a great stage. Our business is growing, and we've and I'm in the process of really transitioning to our next generation. So living that stage of life. And I know that's a lot of this whole podcast. I'm in this, my late 50s. And what's so cool is, and I never knew it would be this way, because you never know, because I've never been 58, but at 58 years old, I can honestly say that I'm more excited about what's ahead than what I've behind. And I've had a great life, but I'm very excited about what God may have in store, because I'm living my best life today.
Yeah. Yeah, man, that's why I really wanted to have you on here, because, you and I have crossed paths a lot over the last few years, usually just small ways. You won't remember this, but the first time I met you, very briefly, was we were doing a serve project from Highlands College, because I was on staff there at the time, and it was a project at that school out in West Birmingham, and I wish I could remember the name of it.
Restoration Academy.
Yes, sir. That's right. And your team was out there.
Stone Christian.
And I met you that day briefly, and then had the chance to work with you a little bit for the Impact Conference, when it was called Impact Conference, when I became the creative person there at the college, and we did all the videos for that, and we interviewed you and all that. So we've had some kind of intermingling, but really this last year, I had the privilege, and my company had the privilege, of serving you and your company with your new nonprofit, Abide and Lead. And I'll get you to talk about that in a second. But you don't know this, man, but you had a really profound impact on me just through that interaction work-wise. And I've actually talked about this a little bit here on the podcast, as I've been telling people that you were going to be on. The truth is, man, like you, we try to be the gold standard of what we do and do a great job and all that. And I'm always dialed in. But, we work with a lot of churches, we work with a lot of nonprofits and stuff. So I hear preaching all the time and teaching all the time, and, I love it. But it's just kind of part of what we do. But as I heard you sharing your heart about Abide, about John 15:5 in particular, kind of your life verse and your theme, and a big part of all that you do, I'd never really heard anybody teach it the way that you did. In fact, the day that we were filming up on top of the mountain out at Purcell Farms, there's some things that you said, man, that, I was out there filming, but I was like, man, this is for me. Like I was really getting a lot out of what you were saying.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome.
And as it turned out through that process, kind of going into the new year, like a lot of us, I'll have a word of the year from the Lord, whatever. And this year the word is abide.
Amen, bro.
And he gave that to me, and you've had a lot to do with that. And you know how it is when you have something like that you're focused on. Now it just pops up constantly. That word is popping up constantly. People are bringing it up all the time. Guests are bringing it up on the podcast and so forth, and just regular conversations. And so I want to thank you for that, first of all, because you've really challenged me in that space, and I've gotten a lot out of just hearing you teach. But talk about why that's so important to you, and why, and tell a little bit about Abide and Lead as well, because that's a nonprofit that you've started.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it kind of goes back to just my journey, my story, because I'm 58. For the first 33 years of my life, I had a faith. I believed in God, but I didn't really know God, and I surely was not abiding in Christ.
Yeah.
And honestly, there was not much fruit. I mean, I did a lot of things and had some success and some very, very, and, challenging, even failures, a lot of challenges, but I didn't really have, the eternal fruit that Jesus talks about. And by the grace of God, through a lot of pain and, life, I surrendered my life fully to the Lord when I was 33, which was 25 years ago here in Birmingham, through Pastor Chris at, a small group we were doing. And, it was really life changing for me. I'd never experienced the abundant life. I started to experience the abundant life, and it was just so rich and so powerful. And, my biggest fear I had, at that time was that I would lose it. I didn't want to ever go back to what was the old. And I remember I was, visiting with Pastor Chris, who was my new pastor, and I was just sharing, and I was like, my biggest fear is that I would go back, to the old, because we gravitate back to our old patterns.
That's right.
Biblical. And he said, "Man, I'm just share, what I believe is the most important thing if you want to stay in this abundant life." And he shared, John 15:5, and basically said, we have to stay connected to the source. God, Jesus is the source, and we have to make it our highest priority. And not even just our highest, but our first and highest priority every day. Because the enemy does not want this to happen. I mean,
that's right.
I think because there's power in this, and it's so easy to get off track. But to make connecting with the Lord, Jesus, the highest and first priority every single day. And if you do that, God will bless you. He'll bear fruit. It says in John 15. And I love John 15:5 because to me, it's so simple and it's so clear. There's a lot of, obviously mystery to our faith, and there's a lot of dimensions as we read the word, but God makes it so clear. One, he makes it very clear, even in the commandments and throughout the word, that his desire, he's a jealous God. And once we commit our lives to him, of course, he first desires that, and it all starts there. We have to start with a fully commitment to the Lord. But he says, in the first commandment says, "You shall have no other gods before me." I want to be your first. and that is so simple, but so profound. Like God really he loves us so much. He wants us to be his priority, and he wants to be our priority. And then of course, I love what Jesus said. He said that I am the vine. And of course, he's using this analogy of the vineyard. And he said, you are the branch. And he makes it so clear. He says, if you, that's us, abide in me, meaning connect with me, live within me, then he says, I will abide in you. So it's a promise. It's saying, but what he's saying is you have to come to me. Like I'm here, but you have to come seek me, and then I'll connect with you. And then I love this. He says, and you will bear much fruit. Like it's so clear. It's such a promise. And, what's hard to understand, but the reality is most believers don't take advantage of that.
That's right. That's right.
I think they missed out on the greatest opportunity. And I do believe that is where the abundant life is developed. It's the fruit, right? The abundant life is the fruit process. And what's so interesting is we don't produce the fruit. God produces it in us and through us only by staying connected to the vine and making that.
That's right.
So I learned that, 25 years ago, really because I was fearful that I would lose the connection. And as I started to do it and I started to see the fruit, the protection, the peace, all the things that come, the fruit of the Spirit, right? And by the way, I've got a lot of work to do. I've come a long way, but I got a long way to go. And if you
Sure.
talk to my wife, she'd tell you all about this. But Jesus said the fruit of the, and by the way, there's a lot of fruit. These are just the stated fruits in Galatians.
Right.
But the fruit of the Spirit is love and joy and peace. I mean, my gosh, who doesn't want more peace? Patience and kindness and goodness and faithfulness and gentleness, self-control. These things that, nobody would ever, that's all good stuff. And we all desire these things, but the depth of those things come through the connection to the Lord through abiding. So it's just, so when you live that, and again, I'm not where I want to be, but I'm sure not where I was.
Yeah.
I've seen God work in my life in so many ways. I've seen Him produce fruit in my life, those fruits of the Spirit and the fruit of just being able to be part of what God's doing. And it just totally motivates me every day to want to get up. And by the way, there's tremendous protection in that. Because if we're in Jesus, then the enemy can't get us. If we're not in Him, which means to dwell, to be within. The other word they use is remain. So it's really making that connection and trying to stay in that connection throughout the day. And I just think it is the where we get the bread of life and the abundant life that God talks about. John 10:10 says, enemies. Basically, Jesus says, there's an enemy that's come to steal, kill, and destroy, but I came to give life and give it to the full.
Right.
And I believe that we only can have that if we stay, connected. This about it. So, as you can tell, that's a lot of, why,
Right.
make that a priority, because I think we're very vulnerable if we don't.
That's right. As I've been studying this word and this whole concept of abiding, this in 2026, and just listening to other messages and things, I heard someone say, I wish I could remember who said it, but I heard a pastor recently say that, abiding is not about performance. It's not about production. And as leaders, especially as men, I know we're all often driven by that. What am I doing?
Yeah.
How am I? It's about presence. And it's really just about being present with Him, being connected to Him, as you keep saying, and as the scripture says, and that is the secret sauce. It's not about what you're doing. It's just be with Him, let Him cover you, let Him dwell with Him, all the things you just said. And that's been a powerful word. You and I are about the same age. I'm 57. I'll be 58 in September. You're a little ahead of me on the grandkids. I've got one. I just had my first grandkid in January, and so I'm loving that grandson. And I've got 4 step grandchildren who are awesome as well, but that my wife has. But the aging journey is really interesting, and I love that you get it. And we talked about this offline before we got started about how you're living the same way as I'm trying to live, and others are trying to live in the sense of trying to get better, trying to grow, not stopping, not retiring, not shrinking back, but actually leaning in and using all the resources that God's given you. And so a lot of times with our guests, we'll kick off with a couple of questions that are just sort of fun. And one is, what would you say the point in your life was when you realized, hey, I feel good and I'm doing good, but I'm a little older. Like I'm starting to feel it. What was that moment for you?
Man, I feel that often, but I think, excuse me, I've been having a cold, so my voice is a little not normal.
Yeah, you're okay.
But probably about when I got to my mid 40s, something happened. One in my early, and I've always been a little bit ahead of, I guess, my peer group in some ways, because I started maturing very early, just because I was, I don't know why. I started doing things earlier, like got married early. I started having kids early. I was 22 when I got married, and we were married 3 months. Amy got pregnant. I was in the Army, so I grew up pretty fast.
Yeah.
And And there was good things and bad things about that. But when I was in my early 40s, somebody mentioned to me the book Halftime by Bob Buford. I
Mm-hmm.
read it. I think I was maybe not even 40. And it resonated with me. This whole success to significance. Bob Buford has had a huge impact on so many people
Yeah.
at a ministry, halftime ministry. But then when I was in my mid 40s, I really started. Of course, at the time, my kids now, I think my oldest daughter was about to graduate from college and engaged. And, I think she got married when I was maybe 47. But we were kind of in that phase of life where you're seeing the next generation. And it really struck me at that time. And then the main thing, one of the biggest things that happened is I met a guy named Phil Nicode, who's a dear friend of mine, who has now become he doesn't like me to call him this, but this is what I think he is. He's really a life coach.
Yeah.
And he took me through a process, I think it was, about 45, so it's probably 15 years ago, or no, 13 years ago, I guess, where he basically took me through and I'd already done some life planning, but this kind of life planning exercise. And man, it was life changing for me. And I had done some of that before, but I'd never had a third party help me with it. And it really has changed the trajectory of my life and how I live. So I went from, I've always been intentional, but I became very focused on, because he made me basically say, okay, where do you want to be in 10 years? And
Right.
by the way, in 10 years, what do you envision? And by the way, I was thinking, wow, I'm going to have grandkids. I'm going to have married daughters. I'm going to have all these certain things and founders. And it made you kind of go there. And then you start kind of thinking, okay, well, what does that look like? And what do I need to do today that's going to position me to kind of be able to do the things I really want to do? Which one of my things was I want to live my life to the full. I want to take everything God given me, as God's blessed me with, and I want to use it. So I want to really do ministry. I want to do what I'm doing right now. That's what I envision. And, without vision, people perish. And there's something powerful when you get a vision, especially I've prayed in God vision, and then you get accountability and you start praying it. I mean, guess what? It happens.
That's right. That's right.
So, and I know that's a long answer to a short question. I apologize, but
no, that's great. And what's been fun about that is, some people have funny stories about my eyesight went bad or my knee started hurting or, but then there's also some real profound answers like you had as well that are, so I love the variety of things that people say about that when they sort of have that aha moment of, I am getting older. And what I love about what you said too is, a lot of people, they're a little bit past that point when they start to have those realizations. You were actually ahead of the curve, I would say, on the average, where most people is probably late 40s, 50s, when they're starting to have kind of the oh crap moment of, man, I don't have a lot of time left. I mean, we don't know. You could be in your 50s and have 30 or 40 years left, but still, the reality starts to set in. And you talked about being intentional. What are some things you're doing intentionally now to kind of ensure, outside of God taking you home unexpectedly, like that you have a good rest of your life, that you are healthy, that you're spiritually growing? So spiritually, physically, emotionally, what are you doing to invest in yourself and in your family to make sure that you're moving in the right direction?
So the truth is, I think about this every day.
Yeah.
And, there's a lot of scripture about this. Teach us to number our days so we can have a heart of wisdom. We have so many days on earth. The older I get, the more I realize, I have limited time and I want to make the most of my time. I get much more intentional. But I live a very intentional life. If anybody that knows me sees my calendar, really it's what you do with your calendar. So, I wake up very early every morning, and that means I have to go to bed earlier than I like to.
Yeah.
And I spend time, I invest time in my relationship with the Lord, which is, what I call my first fruits, abiding time. And then I spend time with my wife, a little bit of time, and then that's very intentional because my wife is totally opposite from me. And, it'd be easy just to, go through life and, she's just kind of riding along, but I try to intentionally spend time with her and praying and connecting with her. And then I work out. I try to work out 5 days a week during the week, and I work out hard. In fact, this morning I was mad because I'm trying to max out at 300 pounds on the bench press, and I'm like right there, and I just I tried this morning. I couldn't get it, but I'm going to get it. I'm like
Yeah.
at probably 290. I need
Okay.
to get 300. So I work out, and and then I have a rhythm of my life, and I'm very intentional, like in how I use my time. So I'm always thinking about, again, there's endless things I could talk about, but I live day to day with a lot of intentionality, week to week, and trying to put the big rocks in the right order. And
Yeah.
it's there's a million things coming at you, so it's hard to do. That's why I think starting your day in prayer, in connection to the Lord, it's a superpower, because it helps you get centered to the right things.
That's right. The most important meeting of the day is that first
Right.
meeting. Yeah.
It sets the tone of your day too.
That's right. And why would you not want to have that meeting before all the other ones? That's
Right.
what the way I look at it. What would you say the hardest part of getting older has been for you? What's been the most challenging part of it?
Honestly, I've enjoyed the process. Probably just honestly, I'm going through right now a little bit, as I got a great relationship with my kids and with my team, but the generation, realizing that I'm the old dude now, and
Right.
these young people don't really get me like I thought. I thought I was cool,
Right.
and I'm learning that, like, when I say this to my 21-year-old daughter, she hears this, and
Right.
it's like she's not, like, there's a gap in these generational realities, and it's like I never thought I'd be there,
That's
but
right.
I am. And even with my team, it's like, man, I'm trying to bless you, but you think I'm trying to pull, maneuver. It's like, no, man. So I'm having to learn, and I'm a very hard charger, so I'm going to have to slow down and just trying to,
Yeah.
learn that I'm in a whole, like, I'm the older guy now,
That's right.
and I have to spend more time trying to understand, opposed to just hard charge leading and think I'm doing it all right. So that's been hard for me, because there's a lot of unintended, feelings and consequences. Some of the relationships that I value most are strained at times because there's just a miscommunication, and I'm having to learn how to, by the grace of God, communicate differently, and act
Yeah.
and actually do things different. It was funny, like the example of this. I went to my granddaughter's piano recital on Saturday. Of course, I want to go see her, but I don't want to go sit through an hour worth of watching other people play
That's
piano.
right.
I've been there. I don't want to do that.
That's
So I
right.
called my daughter. I was like, "What time do you think she's going to be playing?" Which my daughter doesn't like that question.
That's right.
And I'm like, "You think?" She's told me, so I'm like, "Okay, I'm gonna try to get in there right about when she starts." So I get in there literally right time. The girl right before her plays, and I'm in there, and I go sit down next to my daughter, and my granddaughter plays. I was like, "Hey, I'm going to sneak out of here." He goes, "No." Basically, my daughter said, "Dad, there's only 6 more people. Basically, you need to stay here." And I'm
Right.
sitting there going, "I don't want to stay here. I want to leave. And nobody in here cares if I leave." But see, I'm going, but no, my daughter wants me to stay. So I
Yeah.
guess I'm going to stay. And dude,
Yeah.
that's so hard for me, because I'm like,
What's next?
yeah. So, I mean, I'm just saying, like, these are things that we have to learn, because
They are. I think it's great that you recognize that, though. A lot of people don't. And I think a lot of people, as they get older, when they feel those things, they kind of put it on that generation, like, well, that's their problem. Like they need to figure it out. And we get stubborn in our old age or older age and get kind of set in our
Right.
way. So that says a lot about who you are, that you're willing to look at yourself and go, how can I make this better? But yeah, it is interesting, because it's not just that you are older, but it's the way they perceive you is what I've
Right.
found. It's like, I feel like I'm 35, like I'm one of y'all. I'm right here in the middle of it.
Right.
And they're looking at you like, no, you're like my dad's age or my grandfather's age or whatever.
Right.
So,
I am a grandfather, which
Yeah,
is,
exactly.
I don't see myself as a grandfather.
yeah. And
I
you've
am
got
one.
guys working for you in their 30s who are not, I mean, they're men, they're adults, but they're still the same age as your children. So
Yeah, we got guys working for us in their 20s. So I mean,
yeah, that too. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean,
and I'm learning all these generations. That's the Gen Z, and they have a whole
Yeah.
different way of seeing things.
That's right. That's right. It is a real thing. There's no question about it. So let's talk about, you work with founders, you work with CEOs, people who started businesses, entrepreneurs, what we would probably all kind of agree on, high-level leaders, hard-driving, hard-charging leaders. What do you think is the most dangerous lie that successful leaders start believing about themselves as they get older?
Yeah. Well, I think, a lot of us believe that if we're successful and we've done these things, then, basically we're going to be successful in these areas. In other words, basically what's got them there is going to get them to where they're trying to go to. And
Oh, that's good.
I just don't think that's not my experience. And I think it's hard for people that are successful because it's worked at some level.
Yeah.
Of course, the other thing we believe, which I've made this mistake, is if it worked well in my business, well, then I can just apply it to my family. Well, the principle might be the same, but the approach is way different. And so, and it's created some challenges, quite frankly, because I'm trying to use these business principles in my family. It's like the principle's right, but the approach is wrong. So I just see that a lot. And I think we have, just like I was trying to say, in a bit, this is biblical. That's why you abide, because the Lord teaches you these things, like in this quiet place as you read God's word, that you don't, just because you're got to this place doesn't mean that, you are where God wants you to be. He's always calling us to go to another place. And mainly what that means is you're to die to ourselves, to our ways,
right,
to be willing to repent, to be open to listen, and I think that my way is the right way. I mean, in my own world, I think my way is pretty good, and like people should just kind of do it my way because I think it works. But the truth is, my way is not. It might be the way I like it, but it's not necessarily the way for others. And just to be, especially as you get power and influence and all these things, never thinking that you've got it all, and remaining, humble and being willing to learn and grow and get feedback. And that's very hard. As an older person, it's hard and painful to get feedback because it hurts.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's one of the most difficult things I do, but I do it intentionally. I get feedback even when it hurts because I know because the pain is what makes us change.
That's right.
If we avoid the pain, we just keep and we just do more damage. And I don't want to be the guy that, is the 85-year-old, old grumpy that, nobody wants to be around because we know what that person looks like. And it's
right.
Like it's all about them. And that's scary. And I sure don't want to be that person,
Right. What do you think separates people who finish strong as they're getting older versus those that burn out or implode or
I think there's a lot. I think that there's a lot to that.
Yeah.
There's multiple dimensions. So I think it starts with, where are you getting? First of all, without vision, people perish. If you don't have a vision or something to look forward to, it's very easy to lose your energy and burn out. Vision gives us energy. And where does vision come from? Well, I want to believe that my vision comes from the Lord, which is, again, goes back to abiding. A lot of what I'm doing right now in Bind Lead has come through, obviously experiences, but God showing me things that I couldn't see that He's shown me. So I think that's important. I think the second thing is pace. And I'm working on this personally because I'm a very fast-paced guy. I like fast. I'm trying to slow down intentionally. Not slow down, meaning, like I'm going to just be some old slow person, but have the right pace. And I think one of the biggest things in that for me, because there were times in my life where I almost burned out and it was scary.
Yeah.
It's very scary because it happens. You don't even know it's happening and it happens. It's like, what in the world? I have learned the value and rhythm of Sabbath. I'm very intentional about taking Sabbath rest, meaning taking a day a week where I don't work and don't produce. I recreate. I don't try to produce. I think similar to abiding, very few people do Sabbath. And Sabbath, God made Sabbath for us. He didn't make it for him. He made it for us because He knows how we're designed.
That's right.
And then also building Sabbath rhythms into my life. Like I work really hard at this stage of my life, though. I want to have room to enjoy life and to enjoy the fruits and to be in relational connectivity. So like I'm building rhythms into my life like this summer. After about May 15th, I'm not doing any events. I'm not promoting anything. I'm doing all my kind of my heavy lifting work, and I'm going to still continue to work and be engaged, but I'm going to be traveling and doing things for until early August. So there's a season where I'm going to take a kind of Sabbath rest. Again, I'm not checking out, but so these are all rhythms I think that are super important. And then the final thing I'd say is we got to always be willing to learn and grow. If we're not learning and growing and being challenged, and if we just kind of put it on cruise, I think that's a dangerous place. And I think that's the biggest danger for people in my age and stage, because I'm at a stage in life where I could cruise.
That's right.
You know, I got a great team, got a great business. I financially have a lot of margin. I don't have to do really. I mean, I have to show up for my wife and kids, but I don't really have to do. And at the same time, I can't imagine where I would be if I was just cruising. I would not be in a good place. And so I'm not made for that. I'm made to. So I think it's important that we always try to learn and grow and find a level of new and challenge. I'm in a very challenging stage because I'm doing a new ministry. This is all new to me.
Right.
And I'm loving it. I'm enjoying it. It's hard. It's not easy, but it's a pleasant hard, because I know I'm doing what God's called me to do. I'm walking in my gifting, and I'm being stretched and strained, but I'm doing it, but I'm loving it. And I'm also putting things in my life to protect me from going over my skis. And, you know,
that's right.
There's a lot to what you just asked, but that's a few things right there.
Yeah. You talk about cruising. One of the things that we say on here a lot is that the only place you can coast is downhill, you know?
Right.
So, and
I love my buddy, John Maxwell. He talks about this all the time.
Yeah.
He says anything in life that's worth, gaining or achieving, it's uphill. Like,
that's right.
Anything that's worthwhile is uphill. It's going to take some work and effort, and that's just the way God designed it.
That's right. That's right.
It's called we fell in the garden, but the beauty is, God also, I think, set us up so we can enjoy the work we do. In fact, it talks about that in the book of not Proverbs, but Ecclesiastes. That how enjoyable it is to enjoy life, to enjoy the fruit of our labor, but also to have good work and enjoy our work. I love what I do. Yeah. And I can't imagine not working.
Yeah, the same. And if there's anything consistent about the people, I mean, you're close to the 50th interview that we've done. I think you're like 49. And if there's anything consistent, there's a lot. Everybody who's aging well, growing as they're aging, developing, learning, etc. The standard thing is, retirement is not a thing. It's not biblical. It's not an option. I don't mean you can't sell your company and do something else. I don't mean you have to have a 9-to-5 every day. But to your point about vision and purpose, you've got to be doing something. It doesn't have to be work. It could be serving. It could be volunteering but you've got to have something that you're giving yourself to, investing in, because the second you take that away from people, they start to coast, they start to drift, they start to decline. There's all kind of stats about how quickly people die after retirement if they don't have something going on, So yeah, it is a real thing. What would you say to somebody who's kind of like us in their 50s or 60s, and they know something's off? They can't quite figure it out. They're not feeling like they're quite in the right flow. And let's assume if they're listening to this, they're probably a believer, but maybe they're not where they need to be. What would you tell them is a great first step? Hey, if I was you, this is what I would do to try to interrupt that process and go a different direction.
Yeah. I mean, that is again, there's a lot of variables and all that, but I think, one is, I think very few people take time to reflect and to put life in perspective. I do think there's something very valuable about taking time out from time to time. I try to do it once a quarter. At the end of the year, I try to take a couple of days to do like a solo to really reflect on my life. In fact, at Founders, we make it a requirement for every one of our employees. Every year we pay them to do a solo. And again, we have a list of things we want them to go through that's around their professional development, but we also encourage them spiritually. And because I think, there's a quote that says, a life not evaluated is a life not worth living. Like, you got to take time to assess where you are, where you've come from, where you're going. And I do also advocate towards, if you've never done that or it's hard for you, there's a lot of things you can do, retreats and things that are sponsored by different people.
That's right.
We actually host the Heritage Forum, which is a very intentional, basically, 2-day retreat, 2 nights at Purcell Farms, where we get men in this stage of life. I developed the whole thing for the reason you're talking about.
That's right. That's right.
Because I feel like it's critical when you get to that, that whatever you want to call it, third quarter of life, you're in your 50s, late 40s, 50s, early 60s, and you're kind of in this transitional phase. I think there's tremendous opportunity and there's tremendous danger. And if you don't have an intentional process to reflect and kind of get some, maybe even some counsel, some guidance, you can end up in not a good place. A lot of people's lives implode at those stages of life because they make decisions that aren't the best decisions because they have so many options. The problem is you have a lot of options.
Yeah.
And when you have a lot of options, it's hard to know, what do I do, especially if you're not, have not been doing this for a long time. And again, finally, I'd just say, being connected to the vine of Christ. I mean, I think that is another part of the fruit of abiding. If you're connected to the Lord and you're in a day-to-day walk with him, I think there's a tremendous amount of wisdom and insight and guidance you can get by your relationship with God. I do think we need guidance from other people and we need counsel. I have a lot of counsel in my life.
That's right.
I have people all around me that are giving me guidance. My pastors, I have a board of advisors. I have a personal life coach. I got endless counsel. I just got off the phone with 3 people that are my financial advisors, and I was talking to them about our money stuff, but I really was talking to them more about our family,
right?
Some of the challenges in our family, and they were consulting me. They were giving me advice about my 21-year-old daughter and my 33-year-old daughter and my son-in-law. And and they have a lot of wisdom. And so, I just think we need to bring people around us. And if you have resources, which a lot of people at that stage of life, you have resources.
That's right.
You're a fool if you're not using those resources to help you think through these things and plan these things. And, so again, I know that's probably a long answer for a short question, but I think there's a lot to that. And it's not that easy to just figure this out. It's this life is complex. There's a lot of things coming at us.
That's right. Well, and isolation is such a tool of the enemy. He tries to get us isolated. We don't have counsel. We don't listen to other people. We start spinning out in our heads. And I really believe. I mean, I know you could tell stories like I could. I mean, I know people who seemingly had it all together, seemingly were on the right track, and they make a couple of wrong decisions. I mean, Pastor Chris says, "What are we all one decision away from stupid?"
Yes.
And so the truth is, there is the midlife crisis thing is real in the sense of all this stuff is happening. We're questioning life. What's my purpose? Why am I here? What am I doing? Does anything I'm doing matter? Those are the things that people ask themselves, and that's when they start filling that void with buying stuff or leaving their family and going out with stepping out with somebody else. I mean, those are things that happen because they're trying to fill that need. They want to be wanted. They want to be valued. They want to feel like they're making a difference or have some purpose. And the enemy is so good at giving us the counterfeit version of those things.
Yeah. We all have that need. I have that need. And
that's right. That's right.
And we want people around us to fill it, and they can't. That's why we do have to have purpose. And to your point, a great point I didn't say, but to surround yourself in a community of if you're a man with other men, if you're a woman with other women, of like-minded, believers, people that can encourage you in community and you can be held accountable to. I mean, I think there's huge power in that.
That's right.
And, that I wouldn't be here today without a lot of guys that have helped me get through some really tough times.
Yep.
That, again, I was one move away from stupid because I was feeling beat up or whatever. And because I had great people around me, I didn't do that stupid thing.
That's right. That's right.
We're all susceptible to that,
That's right. Nobody's immune. Yeah, I was my men's group met this morning. In fact, that's where I came from right before I came to meet with you. And we were texting last night. A couple of us were traveling back from some work trips from different places. And we were all like, we can't wait to get together on the day we get together because of the power of the group, the power of the encouragement. Like we always leave that hour and a half, 2 hours feeling, inspired, lifted up, encouraged, prayed for, heard, sharing our burdens, all that kind of stuff. And there's so much power in it. You mentioned John Maxwell earlier, and while I don't know him personally the way you do, we've all had the privilege in our little circle here around Highlands to have a lot of exposure to him, a lot of him speaking to us, and of course all his great books. But in addition to him, who are some people that have really influenced you? Maybe they're people that have a platform or books or podcasts, or who's encouraging you, or who are you learning a lot from right now that maybe you could share so other people could tap into that too?
Yeah. Well, like I said, Maxwell, I've been very blessed to get to know him personally and do some mentoring with him. Him mentoring me in some of the things I've been able to be part of. But really the person that's probably had the most impact on my life and by far is Pastor Chris Hodges. And of course, he's a protege of John Maxwell.
Right.
In fact, he wrote a book I'm reading, and it's a phenomenal book. And of course, all of his principles I'm reading, I'm like, yeah, I've been living this because I've been so influenced by Pastor Chris. And he's an amazing man of God, a great leader, and become a great dear friend. We'd get to do a lot of fun stuff together. And but I've learned so much from him. So he's had a huge impact on me. He's led me to the Lord 25 years ago, and has just been a mentor, friend, discipled me over many years, and we're getting to do fun things together. So he's been huge. Of course, my dad, my dad's a great man, and he's taught me so much, and I've learned so much from him. And of course, my grandfather on my mom's side was like my childhood hero, and he, has had tremendous. He passed away when I was a senior in high school, but I think about him pretty much every day. He's just just so much a part of who I am.
Yeah.
So I've had but even books like this Bob Buford. I never met Bob Buford, but I read that book when I was, I think, 39. It was life-changing for me. One other person I got to mention, I'm going to see tomorrow. I'm on the board. He's on my board here at Founders. I'm on his board at Bridge to Rwanda as a ministry, a guy named Dale Dawson.
Okay.
I've been close to now for, I don't know, almost 20 years. And Dale has just been a tremendous mentor to me in every area. I sought him out about 20 years ago. He's had a huge impact on Founders. He's a big part of why we are who we are today. So, I could go on and on. There's so many people that have, impacted me. And again, I love the saying John talks about. Of course, Chris says it too. Show me your friends and I'll show you your future. Like,
that's right.
You really become part of who you hang out with or who you get mentored by. So it's so important who you spend time with.
That's right.
We don't
100%. Yeah, 100%. And man, speaking of that, even though I know we're not hanging out and spending time together that way, just being around you, the amount I've been privileged to lately over the last few months as we've done some work together, you've really embodied that for me, man. I just want to honor you, just living your life the way that you do, preaching the message that you preach. And I'll just be honest with you, I'm not around Duane 24/7, but from what I can tell, this is what he talks about 24/7. Like this is your thing, man. This is your, I know. And that's what's so powerful about it. It's very authentic. It's not, you're not putting on airs. Like this is who you are and what you believe. And to make the point that,
thank you for sharing that. That blesses me. Cause again, this is what I feel called to do. And you never know, we won't know till heaven what impact that has, but it's always encouraging when people, say, hey man, you had an impact on me, or God's impacted me through you is really how we should say it.
Yeah.
And, I don't see myself as a preacher. I just see myself as somebody that's been blessed. And I tell people all the time, because I'm in ministry, but I don't see myself like as a pastor or anything. I'm a
Sure.
business guy that loves God. And really, I think ministry at its core is taking what God's shown you or done in your life and sharing it with others. And that is the Great Commission. It's just sharing my story. Here's what God's done. It's been such a blessing to me. I want to share it with you. Not because I want anything from you, but because I want to see God bless you and I get to be part of what God's doing, which motivates the fire out of me so if God took some seed, planted it in you like abiding, and you actually step into that and God starts to produce tremendous fruit in your life, I may never see that fruit, but it's such a joy to me that I got to be part of that story.
Yeah.
And that's how God works. And that's what motivates me to go share this day in and day out, because it's like, what could God do? And by the way, I've seen Ephesians 3:20, which is one of my favorite verses. I've seen God do in my own life and others immeasurably more,
Yeah.
which is a big number. It's a big thing. It's like more than you can imagine. He's done immeasurably more than I can ever ask or imagine by his power at work in us and through us and me, through you, or whatever. And, just being able to be part of that. I see that at Hollins. We had legacy night one Friday night.
Yeah.
I was sitting there and literally I'm sitting there and it's almost surreal when you see what God's done through Church of the Highlands over 25 years.
Sure.
I don't run Church of the Highlands. I don't lead Church of the Highlands, but I'm a big part of it because I'm part of the team. So I get to be part of what God's doing, and it's truly miraculous. And,
Yeah.
and to just be able to be part of that is unbelievable. And,
Yeah.
and by the way, just like you're saying, the best is yet to come, because we're 25 years into something God's doing and it's just growing and gaining momentum, which I love this saying. And this is a great saying for you in this podcast. It's again, John Maxwell's saying, now Chris Hodges, I'm sure says it all the time and I'm going to say it because that's what happens. But when you can afford to quit, you can't afford to quit, because at this stage in my life, at this stage of Chris Hodges' life, the momentum and the compounding it's just starting. The curve is increasing. And so how terrible would it be if we just said, well, we're going to go sit on the sidelines and just do some hunting and fishing. By the way, I love to tell people this, and I don't know if it's right or if it's wrong. I believe it's right. But there's nobody that has more fun than I do. I promise you. Like, living the abundant life is not dull and boring. It's actually the opposite.
That's right.
I do way more than I can ever have thought I would. I love to hunt and fish. I love to play golf. I do that all the time, but I do it with purpose. So by the way, if I was just hunting and fishing, it gets old quick.
That's right.
As much as I love it. But if I'm doing it for purpose, like I'm taking Pastor Chris and a bunch of guys to Argentina this summer for, a hunting trip. I go there every year.
Are you doing the dove hunt?
Because we're going to be investing in these guys. These are kingdom men that are doing great things, and we're going to invest in them. We're going to shoot birds. We're going to have an amazing time. But God's going to do something that's going to be eternal.
Yeah. Do you do the limitless dove thing? Is that what y'all do in Argentina?
Well, we do the mixed bird hunt, but yeah, the doves are limitless. I tell people it's kind of funny, and it's a joke, but I'm going over there on a mission trip. My mission is to, help control the bird population, because they are overrun with birds. And
They're pests. Yeah, no doubt.
And to feed the poor, because we can't eat all the birds we shoot, because we shoot a lot of birds.
That's right.
So we do give them to people that are less fortunate. But that's not really why I go. That's just a little side. I go because I love the bird hunt, and I love going to Argentina, and I love being in fellowship with these guys. But we do a mixed bag hunt, so we hunt doves, which you do shoot as many as you want. It's crazy. Right. Ducks, which they do have a limit on ducks, but it's way more than we can shoot here. We shoot parties, which is a partridge, which is a phenomenal bird. It's kind of like a kind of big quail. You hunt them with dogs, there's a limit on those. Then we shoot pigeons, not like church steeple pigeons that you shoot off in the city. These are wild pigeons. They're kind of like big doves.
Right.
We hunt those, and we fish too. They have some good fishing there, but it's a phenomenal trip.
Yeah, yeah. Those South American trips are awesome. When you walk away, your shoulders are bruised because you're just shooting so much. You got the multiple guns, and it is a lot of fun. Well, man, I appreciate you being on here. This has been so great, and I know a lot of people are going to get a lot out of it. And again, just you're so authentic, and you're so speaking from the heart, and you're just a great model for anybody who's starting to get on advanced in years, 50s, 60s, whatever, to say, hey, man, I'm leaning in, I'm growing, I'm not shrinking back. I got more to do. Best is yet to come. And so, thank you for being a model to us all, and I really appreciate you being on here.
Well, I appreciate that, Mark. I love what you're doing. I have a heart. When I read, I didn't know exactly what the podcast was about. When I read the profile, I was like, dude, this is right down the middle. I think there's a huge need for this. That's why I started the Heritage Forum. And I tell people at the Heritage Forum, and I believe this with all my heart. And again, maybe it's just wishful thinking, but I've seen it in living. I've seen this happen. I've been hanging around John Maxwell now for 20 years, and I've seen this, and I've seen it in a lot of great people that I hang out with. But I believe with all my heart that, whether you're 55 or 60, that those next 20 years or more, with all the technology, it may be more. Who knows? Life expectancy is going up. We don't know how long we'll live.
That's right.
Especially if you take care of yourself. But I believe my next 20 years, I'm 58, are going to be, by the way, I've lived a very rich.
That's right.
And the last 25 years of my life since I've been walking with the Lord have been immeasurably more than I could have ever asked or imagined. But I believe with everything in me, Lord willing, because I don't know when I'm going. We don't know when we're going to die. It might happen next week, but I'm not planning on it. But
right.
But I believe the next 20 years are going to be the most fruitful, enjoyable, productive kingdom years of my life by multiples.
Yeah.
By multiples. And I'm so excited about that. And I just really believe that these are the best years of our lives. And if we live them right, we basically run into heaven excited instead of like, oh crap, I got to die one day. I hate to look, so basically living, waiting to die, opposed to living into eternity, which is what I want to do. I want to be running full steam towards eternity. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
It's a different view. It's a different perspective.
That is 100% right. 100% right. Well, man, I appreciate you. I hope you have a great rest of your week, and we will catch up soon.
All right, brother. Bless you, man. Thank you.
You too.
Enjoyed it.
Man, I don't know about you guys, but what a great conversation. I got so much out of that. I took notes, and I've gone back and watched through it, and man, just an incredible interview. So many great insights. If you want to reach out to Duane or contact his ministry or his company, I'll put all that in the show notes, and so you can check out Founders Advisors, and then also Abide and Lead, their ministry that helps help leaders use the resources to great effect. We'll put links in there to that. You can find him on socials. He's got a great weekly, like a word of the week, kind of like a blog that he puts out, and it comes out every Sunday, and I get it. It's really, really great. And so make sure to sign up for that. He also has a great podcast. We didn't talk about any of this today, but he has a great podcast with leaders. I think it's called the Impact Leader Podcast, something like that. And we kind of helped them launch that back when they did the Abide and Lead thing. And it's going great. My buddy Jay Lee Ellison hosts that with him, and he does a great job. But they have really high impact CEO type leaders on there talking about their own journeys and things that they're learning. And most of these guys, while they're not all 50 plus, a lot of them are. And so there's some great interviews on there. So I encourage you to go check all that out. And again, like, subscribe, follow us on the different channels, wherever you're listening or watching. Make sure you engage. It helps us reach more people. And then I want to say I'm really excited about some guests we've got coming up over the next few weeks. We have a dear friend of mine, a pastor named Van Moody, who leads an incredible church here in Birmingham called the Worship Center Christian Church. And Van he's actually a bishop in his world, a denomination, and just the things that he leads across the country. An incredible leader. Just sent off one of his kids to college, so we're going to talk about that. And he's going to be a great interview. We've got General Ed Casey coming up soon. Ed is an Air Force general who is a great friend and mentor, and we've done some schooling together and work together. I can't wait for you to hear from him. We've got a guy named Tyler Vineyard, and Tyler leads the men's ministry at our church, Church of the Highlands, and is doing incredible things with men's groups all over our city, all over our state, and even into Georgia. And he's seeing a lot of what we talk about with guys who are getting older. Hey, what's God calling me to do? He has a lot of insight into that. I can't wait for you to hear about that. We have another special guest coming up, Laura Allen. And Laura is starting a new podcast for women who are aging. And I'm going to talk to her about that, as well as some transitions she's doing with her business and some other things. Can't wait to have her on. And so many more people lined up. Craig Etheridge, a great pastor out of Texas, is going to be on, who's a dear friend and a hunting buddy. And my brother used to work with him. And I love Craig's insight on some things. So like the list just goes on and on. I could talk for 10 minutes about the guests who are lined up over the next few weeks. So make sure you tune in and check all those out. And again, make sure you go back and check out the older episodes. There's some incredible older episodes. And then we've got some really incredible potential guests that I will not name because they're not for sure yet, but we're working on that. So if you're one of our fans, supporters, if you follow us, pray about that too, just that God will bring more great leaders to this podcast that we can learn from their different journeys. And so I'm excited to tell you about that when the day comes. So anyway, we're getting ready for an awesome summer. We are not slowing down. Hope you're not either. Can't wait to see you next week. Have a great one, and we'll talk to you soon.